Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Some of you have told me you missed the old tam-tam back here, the gong, and so I brought it back. I've missed it too. It really was so much fun, and, here we go. Let's just one for old time's sake, shall we? Yeah! Great stuff, isn't it? Well, here we are. With random reviews from the Overflow Room, working in reverse alphabetical order as I restock my new shelves here. And we're working through the end of the letter T, which is actually the beginning of the letter T, because we're going backwards. We're on the TAs, ta-ta-ta-ta. And we begin this particular episode with, oh goodness, Thomas Tallis. Yeah, I can't help myself. I have this fetish for collecting recordings of his motet Spem in Allium, the 40-voice motet for 40 separate voices. Oh my goodness. It's only 9 minutes long or something like that, 10 minutes, but I don't care. And usually you either get it on a disc of Tallis stuff or you get it, with an assortment of music from the period, which is marvelous. So it's a wonderful way. Let me give you a little tip for you collectors out there or you newbies. If you find a piece of music from a strange period, the English Renaissance, the 1400s, where, let's face it, you're not going to know what composers were doing or who these people were. Find a piece that you like. Find a popular one that's recorded frequently, and then get a bunch of recordings of it, because then you get to make comparisons. Oh, hello. Hi, Finster. Because then you get to make comparisons. And in addition to making the comparisons, you'll get all kinds of other stuff by contemporaries. And so you'll learn about the period and who the composers were. And that's how you kind of triangulate. And you can usually do that by getting a big selection of things. And you don't have to spend a fortune, on discs devoted to those individual people. For example, well, let's see, I've got 4 Tallis things in the Overflow Room. The rest of them, of course, are upstairs. We've got this thing, Utopia Triumphans. It's a title. Utopia Triumphans, featuring great polyphony of the Renaissance. See, case in point. The Huelgas Ensemble under Paul Van Neville. And we've got Spem in Allium, which is, of course, glorious. And music by Costanzo Porta, Josquin des Prés, who's one of the major names in the period, Johannes Ockeghem, another major guy, Pierre de Manchicourt, his Laudate Dominum, Giovanni Gabrielli, one of the great composers from Venice, with the brass choirs and things going, and multiple ensembles. It's all gorgeous. And Alessandro Striggio, Ecce Beatam Lucem, which is also quite well known. Sure, it's one of the greatest hits of 15-something. So this was on Sony Vivarte, which no longer exists particularly, but who knows, it may be around. And if you like Paul Van Neville and the Huelgas Ensemble, well, they did it again for Harmonia Mundi. And this one has somewhat different people and some of the same stuff as this had, except it's on Harmonia Mundi. You've got William Quelliers or something like that. He was born in 1962, so that doesn't count. It says greatest hits of the Renaissance, but it's a 35-part motet, so I get it. Juan Bautista Comes, Josquin again, Robert Wilkinson, Alessandro Striggio, the same piece that was on there, Ecce Beatam Lucem, which is also for 40 voices, by the way. Peter Masons, João Lourenço Rebelo, a Portuguese guy from 16-something, his Lauda Jerusalem in 16 parts. Just love it. And then there's Giovanni Gabrielli again, and Spem in Allium. So where we go. Same people, slightly different program. Then we've got this version. This is an all-Tallis program featuring the choir of King's College, Cambridge, under Stephen Cleobury. You get Spem in Allium. You get the Lamentations of Jeremiah, one of his most famous works. Dum Transiset Sabbatum, which is a major thing, and some other stuff. That was on Argo, back when Argo existed. See, I keep these because some of this stuff just disappears. These labels disappear, these things, and you don't know when they're going to pop up again. Then we've got this one on Hyperion, Gaude Gloriosa is the big number here. 17-minute long motet, I mean, for choir. It's a big piece. Some of the pieces here were just unbelievably grand and large scale. Absolutely glorious. And his Magnificat in 5 parts is here. And Nunc Dimittis in 5 voices as well. And let's see, the Sermone Blando Angelus, I don't know what that is, and some other goodies as well, with the Cardinals Music, CK, under Andrew Carwood. So that's all lots of fun. So that's Tallis, and Tallis goes into his slot here in the T's. Wonderful. Then we've got bits of the Supraphon Vaclav Talich edition. Now, Vaclav Talich was sort of the founding conductor of the Czech Philharmonic, a major conductor from the first half of the 20th century. He barely made it into the stereo era. He got into a lot of trouble with the communist government of Czechoslovakia, which checked his career to a certain degree. Pardon me, oh, that's a terrible pun. It was unintentional. Checked his career. Ha ha. Okay. Put his career in a nosedive. But in any case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, these are mono recordings, some of which are quite splendid and very well made, and some of them sound kind of grotty. And with the remasterings, you never really know, because there probably was some deterioration of the original source material, and you just have to pick and choose. These were mostly reviewed on classicstoday.com. You can go there and check out those reviews for the individual titles to get more detail on most of them. I'm just going to tell you what we have. Dvorak Symphonies 8 and 9. These are from 1950 and 51. Classic stuff with the classic Czech Philharmonic. That's why people listen to this. I don't personally think that Talich was one of the all-time, 20th century great conductor type guys, but he was very, very good. Very good, very sincere, and supposedly I'm told from those who knew him, a wonderful, warm human being. So these performances of Czech music mostly are really pretty special. They really are. Wagner, Prelude to Tristan and Isolde, and Tchaikovsky's Pathetique. It's a very good Pathetique, by the way. The Prague Radio Symphony is in the first one, and the Czech Philharmonic is the rest of it, the Tchaikovsky. Dvorak's Symphonic Dances. This was classic, an absolute classic. And we have Talich speaking during the recording session on July 8th, 1950. Do I have another one of these? I don't know. Then we've got Josef Suk, Ripening, symphonic poem, and Janacek's Taras Bulba. This was like the only versions of these things you could get. I mean, at least the Suk, for a very, very long time. And it's a very beautiful, very elaborate, very elegiac work, which Talich conducts splendidly. The Janacek, of course, since then, there have been many other versions of it, which are, I think, equally fine and in better sound. And it's just the reality. And oh, look, it's the same thing. I had 2 of them sitting there. God knows why. Dvorak, Piano Concerto, and the Cello Concerto. The Cello Concerto is with Rostropovich from the dawn of time. Oh, my goodness, yes. When was that recorded? 1952. And the Piano Concerto is with František Maxi piano. It's the revised non-Dvorak version of the piano part. But that's all right, because it's famous. And we've got Smetana Ma Vlast. This was like when I was growing up, when I was first collecting records, and I was getting into Smetana's Ma Vlast, his great series of 6 tone poems extolling the glories of the Czech homeland. Everybody used to say, oh, but you've got to hear Talich. Oh, you've got to hear Talich. Because you couldn't hear Talich. It wasn't available. Finally, Angel showed up. And then eventually Talich showed up too. And it was wonderful. So, and it is wonderful. So there's that one. And let's see, we've got Kat coming by up here, I think. Oh, yes, there she is. Hey, Finster. You're not going to be able to see her climb around now. The gong is blocking your view. And then we've got, let's see, Dvorak's Symphonic Poems, The Water Goblin, The Noon Witch, The Golden Spinning Wheel, which is cut. It has cuts. The collect the body parts sequence is cut. The stories are grisly and horrifying. You can see my other chats about them, and we talk about the cuts. And the wood dove, or the wild dove, as they call it here. So that's Talich, and he gets put away right there. I keep him under T for Talich instead of the individual composers, although some of this edition is spread out amongst the individual composers, and some of it's upstairs, so it's like all over the place. And then we've got this German-Israeli composer, Josef Tal, who left Germany for predictable reasons when all the Jews left Germany prior to the Second World War, and he wrote 6 symphonies, which are performed here by the NDR Radio Philharmonie under Israel Yinon. Now, if you want to get reviews of these things, they're on classicstoday.com. Please just go have a look. But in the meantime, the first symphony is rather cool and listenable and enjoyable. And then things start to get spikier and more atonal until by number 3, you are squarely in dissonant atonalville, where we remain for 4, 5, and 6. So, but 1 is really worth hearing. I mean, for those of us who enjoy, more traditional harmonic practice. Let's put it that way. 2 is pretty good too. But the other ones are thorny and difficult, and they begin to sound less and less personal as they become more and more atonal common practice type things. But the performances are quite good. It's on CPO. The discs are cool. And Tal's first symphony, I really think it's only 17 minutes long. It's really worth hearing. It really is. I would give it a shot if you have a chance. There he is. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. See you soon here from the Overflow Room. Take care.